You're all set, Samuel. We're seeing you and recording. So whenever you're ready to go, over to you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Samuel Tomasi. I'm the Manager of Economic Development and Tourism, and I work with an amazing team. We have Mina, and then we have Nadia, who's our Senior Economic Development Officer, and we have Mina as the Economic Development Associate. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our final Ajax Business Network event for 2021. Thank you, Sue Sutcliffe, for allowing us to use the World Events Center platform for this event. So before I introduce the speaker, I would like to mention that the Q&A segment of our event will be after the presentation. So please submit your questions in the event chat. As small to medium businesses try to recover from the pandemic, they face a new hurdle, finding workers. I am pleased to introduce our speaker, Tara Patton from Angelic Ajax. Tara is an experienced vocational rehabilitation professional, a team leader at Angelic Ajax supporting job seekers and local businesses, and a motivational interviewing specialist. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Tara.
Thank you, Samuel. Okay, everyone, today I'm just going to talk about how COVID has impacted the recruitment process and just things that employers can do to navigate this new COVID environment that we're having with recruitment. So just start with video interviews, and the virtual process has become the norm. So that in-person interviewing process has really shifted. Locations are no longer limits to don't limit the talent pool for some companies if they are offering remote work. And as a result, there is increased competition with the remote working. Demand for companies and industries are shifting. So there's less minimum wage workers and a lot of people that have returned to school to upgrade skills and get different certificates as a result of the pandemic. Some companies now that companies are finding they must sell themselves in the interview process. So it's not just about potential candidates, it's about the employer and what they have to offer. Physical perks cannot replace real company culture. So the culture is really important to job seekers. Professionals are rethinking their purpose, and company reputation will be a key in hiring. So those are some things that have changed. And then I just want to talk a little bit about recruiting in the COVID environment and how we can tackle some of these things that are happening. So first off, it's really important to have an online presence as a company, as a business. Of course, it's important to have you should ensure that your website is up to date and has all the relevant information on it. That's major. LinkedIn is huge with online presence. It's a great way to be involved, be posting, being active, making sure that you have jobs available there. A lot of people use LinkedIn to network and to look for work and see what's out there. So it's huge. And depending on the demographic you're serving or looking for, you might even be using other social media such as Instagram or possibly even TikTok to recruit talent. It's a good way to get out there depending on that demographic. What companies need to be doing is to Google their company and to see the reviews, see what people are saying about them. If there's comments, it's important to respond to those comments. It's also important to look at any negative reviews and make sure that you're addressing it to show that you're taking it seriously and that you're going to handle any concerns that people have, because people are looking up companies and what people have to say, past employees, customers, anything that could impact your company. It's really important that we're looking at it. So another thing that's really important is being competitive. It's up to companies to see what what the wages are and what the benefits are to be competitive in the industry that you're in. So do some research and see what generally people are paying for the roles that you're looking for, and make sure that you have that, that you're competitive. And if it's possible to be able to offer flexible work, that's key right now. If remote work is possible, a lot of people are gearing towards that. But even just flexibility in hours and working, that's a lot what people are looking for with how their lives have changed and what their availability is. With the remote work, with a lot of studies, it's showing that people generally really are more interested in a hybrid workplace. So where they're half working in the office or in the workplace and half working from home. That seems to be the typical trend for what most people want, but not all businesses can support that, of course. So another thing that's really important is the workplace culture. We need to understand an organization's culture, and that's been one of the most challenging aspects of hiring when it's done virtually. So with virtual hiring, job seekers are not always getting a sense of what that company culture is. So it's really important for companies to communicate the culture, since they don't have an opportunity to come in and experience it. Elements of culture to communicate, it has evolved since this pandemic. So now things like culture of collaboration, communication, and respect, and how those values continue virtually. I know at Ajax, where I work, we continue to try to have that culture present. We are working from our office, so we're here every day. We did work from home, but we've adapted. For example, like we have a team health day every year. It used to be in-person activities. Now we're doing a lot of virtual stuff, but still trying to stay connected and have that opportunity to support each other and have team building. So there are things that you can do to continue that, even if it's virtual. And there's even platforms out there that I've seen that you can utilize that you can recognize staff members, what they're doing, any successes that they've had. So there are different platforms that can be utilized as well in a company, so that people still feel connected to each other and feel recognized for work that they're doing. So it's something to look into. I know we use Microsoft Teams, and they have like a whiteboard, and I find it really helps to throw out ideas in there and collaborate. And since we're not able to be all in the same room doing that anymore. And it's also really important to keep candidates up to date on the hiring process. What's going on, the steps along the way, that's really, that's what they want to know, what's happening, what the next steps are. I know with, again, here, when I've been doing hiring for staff, I let them know exactly what the next steps are going to be, so they're not confused and when they'd be contacted, just so people are in the loop and not left wondering. And with everything being very virtual these days, there are still businesses that are opened, and that you have to come into work to work. So I don't think that everybody, so now if people are going to be coming in, I think it's okay to do in-person interviewing through that recruitment process, that they can still get that sense of company culture. If it's possible to do it safely and social distance, they could maybe get a tour of the place they're looking at, meet some staff. This is a way for them to connect to how the company operates and what they have to offer somebody. When I'm doing hiring, I start with doing phone interview screening. So that's virtual. And then I bring people in for an in-person interview, and so that they can connect to us and see what we're about and get more of a sense of the environment that we're working in. So those are some things that I find have been really helpful for this process. That's my presentation for today. If anybody has any questions whatsoever, I'm going to open it up. I'll also say that as an employment service provider, feel free to reach out to employment service providers in your area that can assist you with recruitment if you need that. That's what we're here for. We have job developers, we have candidates that can be sent to you. So there are other options too to reach out if you need that additional support.
Thank you so much, Tara, for that presentation and for teaching us. You're absolutely right. If we can't find a company online, most likely people are going to think that that company doesn't exist. So it is, you are absolutely right that a company does need to keep its online presence, or at least check on its online presence. Just wanted to say thank you for this valuable information and the resource with sharing this resource with us. At this time, we'll start the Q&A segment, and hopefully I'll facilitate with that. And I think, was there any questions? Let me just go through the chat process here. Well, I guess I have a question for you, Tara. So how do companies shift with the pandemic being here, and I think you talked about culture. What if you have two different sort of generations, or I would say 2 or 3 different generations all working at the same company, and then there was the shift of everybody from home, and now there's that hybrid model / nobody really knows. How do companies shift during that process?
With working in partially from home and partially, yeah, I think well, it's going to be how I think we have to be, especially in these times, we've learned that we have to be adaptable to change because we were forced to do it. People don't typically like it. And I think that, if it's a hybrid model, people are getting Zoom fatigue, right? Or virtual fatigue.
Yeah.
So that, but at the same time, my experience working from home, I was more productive because I had less distractions. And sometimes I go, oh my gosh, I was done in half an hour ago. But I was still going away at something because I just get in the zone. And here there's more people coming to me, and, not that I like that. I like having that connection. And so I think that the shift, I don't know if I know the exact answer, Samuel, but I think that it's just kind of people getting used to the virtual, but then having that connection. I think that it brings the teams closer together when they are able to be back in a same space, even if you're still kind of operating on a virtual level, but you get to see each other in the hallways or, bump into each other. It keeps things more connected. And I think it's just a matter of, taking it step by step, and everybody's different. Some people are going to need more support and other people are going to be just on it and they'll support each other. I find that teams have really come together in these times to support, the ones that get it better than the others.
Mm-hmm.
We make this seamless. So having a good IT team is also helpful.
Okay, no, that is absolutely true. So I think there's a question here. I think it says, how do you recommend workplaces and define their specific workplace culture in this virtual setting? What are some good tag words that speak to candidates? That's a very good question, actually.
I think, it is a really, really good question. I mean, everybody's different. I think a lot of things like collaboration, like building, like I'm big on a team. I've interviewed people before where they'll say, "What are you looking for this job?" Well, you can be trained in how to do the aspects of this job, but it's somebody that fits with a team as well as I'm big on a team player, somebody that's going to jump in with a team, fit well, and work together. So I think collaboration, working together, that kind of environment tends to have people are more interested in rather than feeling isolated, alone, or very independent. But there's people that like that too. So it depends on the job and it depends. So it's hard to, there's not maybe one specific, but I think it's important to look at your company and what your culture is and make sure that that's still occurring in the virtual environment if that's how you're operating.
Okay. So where are some of the places that I would say certain Ajax can go to try to recruit local?
So Agilic is we're an employment service provider. There's of course temp agencies, but I think working with a service provider, VPI is in Ajax. There's lots in Durham. There's the YMCA, Unemployment Help Center. There's a French one. I don't know how to say it probably, but there is a French one if you are a French speaker. So Durham has all kinds of resources and community partners that even connect people to different things such as employment services. But yeah, there's many of us out there. Feel free to connect to me and I can tell you the closest location to your business if you want. As long as you're getting the resources that you need, there's people that can provide it.
Wow. Well, Tara, thank you so much for all this information. Before we move on to the networking rounds, and there is only sort of one round, so just stick to your tables and we'll chat it out. Before we move on to the networking rounds, I would like to mention to follow us on Twitter at Ajax Business Network and LinkedIn at Ajax XD for all the latest updates, and contact us at priorityajax.ca to join our mailing list to receive our Ajax Advantage newsletter. And we have an amazing team that puts that together. As we get ready for the networking of our event, I'd like to invite Sue to the stage to go over how to use the platform. The networking rounds, actually we'll have like one networking round since the number of the amount of us, and Sue will sort of explain that to us. Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Samuel. And Tara, that was a great presentation. I really enjoyed that. World Event Center is actually pretty easy to use. Basically, when we go back to the conversation mode, we're going to get you to turn on your camera and your mic, and then you'll be able to see and hear the people at your table. You can move around freely by clicking on an empty chair, and if you're not seeing everything, you're not seeing the whole screen, you can zoom in or zoom out. Other than that, it's pretty easy. If you need help, click on a colorful W, that's us, and we would be happy to help you. Thank you so much, and let's go back to the floor.